See,
sports
I
scenario.
think I'm the only person that doesn't find that funny and finds it quite irritating.
Really?
Yeah, just do your job, mate. You've been fucking sent off. Like, keep your eyes on the match. No, howdy, Jeff. Howdy, Jeff.
I thought he was being substituted.
Yeah.
Here we go. Welcome to Eat My Goal with Mike and Dan. I always do that. I always get the wrong way around, don't I? Is that right?
Hello.
Hello, Dan. How
everyone.
are you this evening? Good evening to you.
Yeah, terrific. You?
Yeah, very good. Very good.
Very excited about episode 4.
Episode 4. And well, I've got a little surprise for you in a minute, actually, because we've got a little new feature which we've never had before because we've never had followers, but we do now have followers, and I'm going to do a little shout out to our followers. So yeah, this is Eat My Goal, weekly podcast where we talk about Premier League and we talk about Portsmouth, even though Portsmouth aren't in the Premier League, but they're our team, so we're going to monopolise this podcast with them a little bit. But as I say, I'm going to give a little shout out to our followers. We have some new followers on Twitter, Dan. You'll be very pleased. No, these are genuine.
No porn bots.
No, they're genuine. Well, they're strangely named if they are. So we've got about 5 new ones, and I'll give a shout out to Pompey Kai as well because he was our first ever follower.
Oh, yeah.
And who else we got? We got Joel Foy is a new follower of ours. Joel Foy. Pompey Nut. So it's Pom and then Peanut.
Like it.
Fanzine. They just obviously want us to buy something from them, I guess. They're a football media software company.
And Busty Linda.
Well, and here we go. And then we've got Destiny.
All right, there we go. Yeah, there's
Destiny. And there's no explanation as to who Destiny is, but she has no followers and she only follows us.
Yeah.
And Maya Pappy from Los Angeles, California.
Oh yeah, she loves a bit of Eat My Goal podcast.
She loves, yeah, it's big in LA. Is the Pompey pod. So there you go. But 5 new followers and long-term follower Kai. How do you feel about that? We're getting there, aren't we? We're making
it. It's good, isn't it? Yeah, I think we're there. I think we should stop.
We are. We've reached the pinnacle.
Yeah.
And not only that, we've also had a tweet which I thought I'd read out to you. No, we have. So I thought I'd read it out before we do the headlines. It says, "Dear."
No, that's what I thought the tweet might say.
yeah, that was it. Sorry, it wasn't a tweet. What I'm talking about is an email. It wasn't a tweet at all. It says, "Dear Eat My Goal." I like the fact they started with "Dear." It's very formal, isn't it? It's obviously one of our older viewers. It says, "My son recommended that I tune into your podcast, and having done so, I felt compelled to write in. I have to say, I've never heard such nonsense spouted by a pair of pathetic losers in all my life. You should be ashamed of yourself." He spelled ashamed wrong. I can only assume my son was taking the piss. But that's from a Mr. P. Till Bognor Regis. So there's a happy viewer / listener.
I don't know what's more disappointing, the fact that it turned out to be a joke or the fact that we still haven't had anyone write in.
Maybe if you do want to email us, it is eatmygoal22@gmail.com, or you can tweet at eatmygoal22. So should we go on with this week's headlines? What we're going to do this week, by the way, we're going to have the headlines. We're going to have Portsmouth's all-time Premier League right back. We're going to discuss the options there. There's so many options, I think, over those 7 seasons.
Oh yeah,
and we're going to start a new little quiz feature as well, which we'll tell you more about in a little while. And that's
also like to change my background. What I thought I'd do is each week I'm going to change my background to a momentous occasion in the Premier League, past, present, and this week's is going to be.
I'm intrigued.
The Eduardo leg break.
Oh no! No. Luckily, your head was.
No, I've put a blue mark there. That's
you've highlighted
not bone or shin. I've scribbled it out.
Oh, you've covered it up.
Yeah,
you've covered up the bone coming through the sock.
Yeah, so that's the first thing I thought of when somebody said name something momentous that happened in the Premier League. I thought, Eduardo's bone sticking out of his leg.
Oh, that's lovely. That's a lovely reminder of the dangers of football.
You're all welcome.
Nice. So this week's headlines, not headline. Football returned, obviously. The England squad was announced this week, proving that we have such depth in defence that we can pick 2 players who aren't even playing for their clubs at the moment. After scoring again, Erling Haaland is now just 1 goal behind Luis Suarez and 4 behind Wayne Rooney in the Champions League all-time top scorers list. And he's 22 years old. And finally, Tom, how do we agree on this? The Chelsea guy obviously came up with a cracking suggestion that we should have a North versus South match. Been in the game 2 minutes. It's a little bit like someone who joins a company, isn't it? And then starts coming and go, I think we should move the cafeteria to over here. That'd be nice and near my desk. Or some equally ludicrous suggestion. So what do you think on Tom's suggestion of a North versus South?
Well, first thing I'm a bit worried about is my arms disappeared, but
I just assumed you had it behind your bed. An itch or something.
Right. So what? The North-South game?
Yeah.
Well,
will it happen, and B,
it will not happen? Well, mind you, you say it won't happen, but then you never know, do you? But I think I'm the only person that likes the idea. No, I like the idea of it, but it's not something. It's just not feasible, is it? It's just not something you can. It's just you can't. It's like with American football, they have 4 months break or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or basketball, I don't know what it is, but it's
the All-Star game
time for that. Yeah, but I think I would like to see a team made up of the northern players. Team
FIFA style.
Yeah, it would be quite interesting to see, but I think that's what it would be. But it's just not going to happen, is it?
It's if they were to play it, and if they were actually to go for it, as in proper, if it plays a proper game, not a kind of friendly. Surely the North would absolutely hammer it, wouldn't they?
Well, you'd think, wouldn't you? If it's got Liverpool, it'd just be Liverpool and Man City v, wouldn't it?
Liverpool, Man City against Spurs and Arsenal, wouldn't it? Pretty much, maybe plus Declan Rice.
Yeah, and Zaha.
Oh, and Zaha, yeah, but
bleeding like a bitch. Yeah,
they would almost definitely win. I think, American sports owners coming in and saying you can learn things from American sports. Yeah, I'm sure you can. I'm sure American sports can probably learn things from our sports as well. But
hit a fucking nut, someone.
Duncan Ferguson style.
Yeah.
But you don't go doing it in your first week, do you? But I found a nice little story actually about him. Which I will share with you if I can just open it. And it was about the so it basically says that as the fallout of Chelsea's sacking of Thomas Tuchel continues, an excellent story has been circulating even about the Blues' meddling new owner Tom Boehly. According to rumours, the American billionaire called Tuchel in for a player recruitment meeting after he bought the club. There, he presented a proposed lineup for the season. Tuchel was mildly annoyed at the omission of goalkeeper Edouard Mendy and the selection of 37-year-old Ronaldo up front. But there was a far more concerning detail. The proposed starting lineup consisted of 12 players, with one additional player laid out in a rare 4-4-3 formation.
Oh, shut up. It can't be real, can it?
Apparently so. I don't know how much truth is in that story, but if it is true.
And this included Ronaldo as well, did it?
He included Ronaldo, yeah. He wanted to sign Ronaldo, apparently.
Yeah.
For the bunts, I would assume.
Mm.
So, yes, American owners, do you know that if the Bournemouth takeover goes ahead, Premier League clubs will have 50% American ownership?
Oh, wow.
10 out of the 20 clubs will be owned by Americans, so...
Blimey.
Doesn't bode
So
well for the
it is
future, does
getting
it?
that way. So soon games are going to be 3 hours long. And dancing girls beforehand. Diana Ross singing at half time, and
Diana Ross taking penalties.
Yeah, Diana Ross taking penalties. Water breaks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Nice.
okay. Whatever. Bigger goals.
Yeah, bigger goals, and there won't be penalties, will there? There'll be like some sort of run. You remember when they did the little run from the halfway line?
Yeah, I like
back
that.
In the MLS back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you?
Yeah, it's quite funny to watch. And they used to miss quite a lot, didn't they?
Yeah. Fair enough. All right, let's move on. Yeah. Pompey all-time right back.
Premier League right back.
Who have we got? Who are the contenders?
Well, as you can see from our graphic, the pen's disappeared. There he is. We had we've got David James in goal, Matt Taylor left back. He's not a left back. That's okay.
Yeah,
he's playing
we'll
left back.
We'll give him as a left back.
So we've gone right back. So I've got a list of names here. It's not going to be difficult to pick Glenn Johnson, I don't think, but we will probably just go through the rest for the sake of it.
It's kind of who makes the bench, really, isn't it?
Well, yeah. So let's start with some of the. Let's go by appearances. So, well, actually, I say
as in how they look.
Yeah. I say Glenn Johnson.
Shouldn't judge a player on their appearances.
I did just jot down Linvoy Primus before we kicked off.
Okay,
he actually played right back quite a lot, didn't he? So,
he did.
Linvoy Primus, 113 appearances in the Prem in total for Pompey. Glenn Johnson, 358 total appearances, 84 for Pompey. 26 of those were on loan from Chelsea, which I forgot about, that he was actually on loan before he came. Yeah. And then we've got next for appearances, Andy Griffin.
Oh, really?
No, thanks. Well, 155 total appearances in the Prem, which I thought he would have played more than that.
No,
44 for Pompey, but we'll say no to him. And then next on the list is actually Brian Prisker. Brian Prisker with 30 appearances in the Prem for Pompey. And then we've got Lauren.
Yeah, Lauren. I was wondering where Lauren was going to pop up.
But he only actually played 25 for Pompey in the Prem. I thought he played more than that, but
I was quite surprised that he played that many, actually.
Really?
He was actually with us for 2 years, wasn't he? He didn't really play much the second year.
Yeah.
Didn't play much the first year, by the looks of it. He only played 25 games in total, actually.
No, true. And then Steve Finnan with 21 games. I'll give you an interesting fact about Steve Finnan in a minute, which will astound you. I'll come back to him. Sebastian Schemmel, only 14 Prem. He's another one that I thought would have played a bit more, but he was just 14 appearances. So and then Joel Ward. Do you know how many played for Pompey in the Prem?
Oh, none.
3.
3.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Steve Finnan, just off topic, is the only player to play in the World Cup, the Champions League, the UEFA Cup, the Intertoto Cup, all 4 levels of the English Football League, and the Conference.
Really?
There you go.
Wow, that is an interesting fact. You missed somebody out, by the way.
Oh, have I?
You sound like you covered most. I was going to say
Van Bora.
Yeah, Anthony Van Den Bora, the famous red card that never was.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I've written him down, and then when I looked at his stats, it was just so pointless that I didn't bother putting him down. But that's because he only played.
But he's got to be in there purely for the Cami.
I think I'm the only person that doesn't find that funny and finds it quite irritating.
Really?
Yeah, just do your job, mate. You've been fucking sent off. Keep your eyes on the match. How's he, Jeff?
I thought he was being substituted.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there you go. Right. So
we're saying Johnson's the shoe-in.
I think Glenn Johnson or Linvoy Primus. So because Primus, as we know, is a Pompey legend.
Yep.
Not just for his playing in the Premier League, but for all time for Pompey. But then Glenn Johnson, he's the better player of the two, isn't he? I think.
And he did score. Left foot volley from 35 yards or whatever it was against. Was it Hull?
Hull, yeah.
I think it was against Hull, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah. There's only one win for me. Plus, we got 20 odd million for him as well, didn't we? At the end of it, which I know we eventually just pissed up a wall somewhere, but
yeah.
As much as I like Limboy,
he can go on the bench.
He can go on the bench. Yeah. Alongside Knight and Ryderson.
Alongside Alan Knight and Ryderson.
We're going to change Alan Knight, are we?
Yeah.
Not happy with that. Right.
Please don't write in. Alan Knight was in the squad in the first season when we went.
No, please do write in. Please do challenge that. We just want to know that somebody's watched it.
Yeah.
Even though our stats do say that people do, I don't believe it. it.
So there you go. So we've got Alan Knight, David James in goal, Matt Taylor left back, and Glenn Johnson right back. We'll be doing centre backs next week. I think we'll do both the centre backs next week. So join us next week for the Sol Campbell Sylvain Distin competition.
It's tricky, isn't it? Tricky.
You never know. Well, you never know.
I think once you get into midfield, it's going to be
then we start. Then we start. Yeah.
And I was thinking about the forwards as well. The forwards is actually going to be properly, depending on how we play it as well. If we play 4-4-2, it could be quite tricky. I think it's going to be 4-4-2, isn't it?
Mm. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So James, Taylor, Johnson, Campbell, Distin. Should we just move straight on to midfield?
We haven't done the defence yet.
Oh yes, okay.
Yeah.
I suppose you've got a few others in there that could be in there.
Yeah.
All right, okay, so let's go. This is it. So we've done a few quizzes over the last 3 weeks. But I was thinking this week, I know that Dan here is not a very competitive person, and I know that he wouldn't really mind if we did a competitive quiz whereby each week we had a quiz off against each other. And at the end of the season, whoever loses overall, let's do a forfeit of some sort. We'll choose the forfeit before the end of the season. We won't do it now because unless you've got any thoughts. But we'll do it before the end of the season. But what we're going to do, we're going to alternate it week on week, and this week we're going to do top tens. So the name of the game is whoever is one of us names the category. The other person has to guess the top 10 players in there. You get a point for each one you get correct.
Not necessary players, Mike. Not necessary players.
Not necessary players. No, not necessary players. Top 10 answers, shall we say? Top 10 answers. Yeah, it could be anything. So who do you want to go first, or shall I go first on this?
Well, so I've got two that I picked, two quizzes. So I've got a relatively gentle one to start you off with, if you want to go with a pretty easy one where you should score above 5 points, I would have thought, out of the 10, or you can go for a slightly more difficult one. It's entirely up to you.
Well, I'm going to have to base it on what I've set for you, and mine's relatively difficult, I think.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think it's. I think you might get 5. I don't think you'll definitely get 5. So I'll go with the more difficult one.
All right then.
Right.
So shall I do yours first?
Yeah. Are you going to time?
Yeah.
As you can tell, we've rehearsed this.
Yeah, right. So
30 seconds. 30 seconds, I think.
Right, you have 30 seconds, Mike. So I'm giving it to you, yeah?
Yeah.
To name players who have scored the most Premier League headers, starting now.
Alan Shearer, Wayne Rooney, Thierry Henry, probably not. Kevin Davis. Are you telling me if I'm getting any right? Who else got? Robin Van Persie. Christ heavens. Steve Bruce. Gary Pallister. That's not the first one, is it? That's not the first one I got. Gary Speed.
Well, that's 30 seconds. Do you want a bit longer?
No. That's 30 seconds. Fine. 30 seconds.
Okay. So I can tell you, out of your numerous answers, how many do you think you got right? I think this might have been a bit harder than I thought. But when I give you the names, you got 1 out of 10.
What,
so I'll give you the list. I'll give you the Shearer, yeah. First one he said. So from 10 to 1 is Christian Benteke. You're not going to fucking say that, are you? Timmy Cahill,
Oh, of course, yeah. Timmy Cahill.
Olivier Giroud.
Right, yeah.
Teddy Sheringham.
And
now we're getting to the ones where you're going to kick yourself. Duncan Ferguson.
Yeah.
Surprising at number 5, Dwight York.
Okay.
Yeah. Les Ferdinand.
Right, yeah.
Dion Dublin.
Yeah.
Alan Shearer, not even number 1.
Wow.
And number 1 is, of course, he's 8 foot tall. Come on.
Oh, Peter Crouch.
Peter Crouch.
Peter Crouch, Jesus.
So you scored a total of 1 out of 10.
Okay.
So maybe that was a bit harder than I thought. But,
right.
or you're a bit shitter than I thought.
Yeah.
One of the
Well, yeah, maybe it's that. Okay, so what I've got for you is specifically last season in total. So the 2021-22 season. I want you to name me. You've disappeared. The top 10 most fouled players. Most fouled. Go.
Zaha.
Correct.
Last season. Foden. Jesus. Grealish.
Yes.
Salah. Firmino. No. Mane. Van Dijk. Rashford. No. Ronaldo.
No.
Sancho.
No.
Oh my God, Mike.
1-0. Time.
Antonio. Oh, is that it?
That's it.
Oh, fuck off.
You'd be pleased to know you
won,
though.
A lot of swearing in this episode, isn't there? Sorry.
You'd be pleased to know you won. Zaha and Grealish got Zaha's number 1, Grealish number 10. I'll go through the rest of the list. I might have missed some, but I don't think I did. Either way, you've won. So 1-0 to you. But so Zaha was number 1. John McGinn was number 2. Ivan Toney number 3.
Is he? McGinn, carry on.
Ivan Toney number 3. Richarlison number 4. Jordan Ayew. Conor Gallagher. James Maddison.
Yeah.
Anthony Gordon.
James Maddison, who's James Maddison's biggest fan.
Bukayo Saka. And number 10, Jack Grealish.
Oh, right.
More difficult than you think, isn't it?
Yeah.
More difficult than you think. 2-1. And it also demonstrates our depth
knowledge
of Premier League knowledge. This is why we are qualified to run this podcast, because we are so knowledgeable. All right. So there you go. 1-0 to you. 1-0. Well done. Congratulations.
Did you want me to just go through the other one, or do you want me to save it?
No, save it for another week.
I think you'd be. Yeah.
Do you think that's an easier one? Do you?
I'll definitely easier. Yeah.
Okay, I'll do a slightly. I'll do what I would think is an easier one for next week as well.
Yeah.
1992.
The other one. Yeah, the other one is sort of, you could make quite a few stabs in the dark and get quite a few right.
I might turn blank though. Went completely blank.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well done. Good early lead for you there. Keeps you happy, doesn't it, for a little bit?
Yep. Keeps
you happy.
All that matters.
So we were going to talk about kits. We decided, I think, having reflected on kits after last week's podcast, I think we'll discuss very briefly, but I don't think we need to go into the depth that I was initially thinking. But I would, if anyone is listening, I'd recommend going and watch it, looking at Arsenal's promo images for their kits, and also the one with Dele Alli for Everton's yellow kit. Yeah. Very interesting. But what I do want to, obviously England's kit was released this week. But before we move on to that, I just want to say one thing about kits. The one real kit that stands out for me this season is the horrendous Manchester United third kit. I don't have an image of it, but you remember the one. Yellow and green.
Oh, right, yeah.
Just what were Adidas thinking?
Are you asking me, or?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Were you there when they discussed?
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems to be the theme, doesn't it, this year? Just try and make the most bizarre kits, the most random kits, the most retro kit that you can come up with that are nothing to do with your club colours. That's the other thing. Teams are wearing colours that aren't even. It's like, I think the one that I said to you, I know it's not Premier League, but Watford with their all black away kits.
Yeah,
was
people
one
like
I saw.
a black kit though, don't they? I don't mind a black kit. I think some.
Oh, I know. It's just does seem to be random colours this year, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess. Now, so here we go. I'm gonna show you I'm gonna do my background, which is gonna be the New England kit, which looks like this. You can't really see the shoulders properly, which is a shame because the shoulders are the real piece de resistance.
Yeah, it looks quite. Is it quite boring? It looks quite boring.
To me, it looks like a training kit.
Yeah, it looks like an old sort of 90s style kit.
Yeah. Gaz, you can imagine Gaza wearing that with these light blue bits on the sleeves. Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? It's a weird one. What you can't see is it just above the picture here is the neck is like it fades into an even, well, not fades into it just goes even darker. It's just a bit of a strange one, I think. I won't be shelling out £75 for it.
I was going to say, how much is it? 75 quid. That's what it is it?
Something like that.
Brilliant.
The site I've managed to find it's £15.99, so I'm assuming this isn't genuine. But I won't mention which site this is. But yeah,
it's run by a woman called Destiny.
Yeah. And in fact, that apparently is the Lioness's version, but
all right,
still not the best. Not the best. Okay, so we're going to wrap up this week's pod with what? Have we missed that?
A song? No.
With a song.
On everyone.
Join in if you know the words.
Put the lyrics to Sweet Caroline up. We'll sing along.
I just thought we
could end with 4 minutes of applause. How about that?
Sorry.
Just end with 4 minutes of us clapping.
And cheering.
We haven't done that enough this week, have we?
No, I suppose not. Okay. I thought we'd have a little mention of other podcasts just to see if we somehow get a return like. So that's how I discovered. I didn't discover it at all. I was pushed. What am I looking for? What are the words am I looking for? I can't speak. I cannot speak. I discovered, but without discovering it, I found out about this podcast. No, I didn't. Stumbled across. That's the word. Just like I stumbled through that sentence. Have you ever seen this before? Mascot's Minute Silence.
Have I ever seen it before? No, surprisingly not.
No. I would look it up. It's it'll give you at least 3 or 4 minutes of joy. Because it's basically various, obviously mascots generally for football clubs or even other sports teams generally have a big smiley face, which looks ridiculous when they're observing a minute's silence for whatever reason. So it has various mascots of various teams observing minutes silences before matches. So that's what I would recommend. Mascot minute silence on Twitter. Like I say, you'll get bored of it after about 3 or 4 minutes, but the first 3 or 4 minutes are quite humorous. That's us done. That's podcast 4. Episode 4 done. Next week, we will we'll be back with some more merriment and mirth. We'll go back to that, back to the beginning. If you want to suggest any questions or suggest any topics, or suggest that we that's probably my next thing. Or if you want to write in like Mr. Peter or Bognaridis did, then do so at eatmygoal22@gmail.com or tweet us, please somebody tweet us. Pompey Kai, give us a tweet. Go on. Or what was the other guy I said? Joel Foy.
And the Pompey podcasters like Pompey Kai, they're probably sitting there going, well, you missed out all these players when you went through your Pompey Premier League thingy. So tell us which players we missed and who should be in there.
Who have we missed? Yeah, and who would you put forward for the midfield and the forward line, which is obviously is going to be the trickiest, I think, to whittle down because the defence pretty much picks itself. The back 5 picks itself. Anyway, that's all we've got time for today. So thank you, Dan. It's been a pleasure. Love the picture. I'm looking forward to next week's picture.
Yeah, it's going to be a beauty.
And we'll see you next week. And bye.
Stop the video.